Something is about to change in your industry, and most people don't see it coming. Private equity is entering professional services, consulting, financial advisory, coaching. That means firms backed by capital reserves that you've never competed against are about to start buying up advertising space in your market. And this isn't theoretical. We've already seen what happens when it plays out. There's a law firm in Florida called Morgan & Morgan that spends $350 million a year on advertising. They crushed every small firm in their path, and the playbook they used is now being exported to every expertise-based industry in America. If you're an independent consultant, a financial advisor, or any kind of expert running your own practice, you're about to be outspent at a level you cannot match. The average solo advisor in this country spends $9,000 a year on marketing. That's a 39,000 to 1 gap. That's not competition. That's not even the same game. Here's what I've learned after watching this play out across multiple industries. There's one strategy that makes the size of someone else's marketing budget completely irrelevant, and 86% of buyers actually prefer it to advertising. In this video, I'm going to show you the two completely different games that exist for getting clients, why most people are losing the first one, and how to win the second one without spending $1 on ads. Let me give you the full picture. Morgan & Morgan is the largest personal injury law firm in America, 1,000 attorneys across 50 states. John Morgan built this empire on one simple idea. If people can see your face enough times, they'll call you when they need help. And it works at that scale. The firm generates over $1.5 billion a year in revenue. They're on every billboard, every bus, every TV commercial break. They sponsor NASCAR. They're the official law firm of the WWE. That's what saturation looks like. Now, the average solo advisor, lawyer, consultant, professional in America spends about $9,000 a year on marketing. Morgan & Morgan spends $9,000 roughly every 15 minutes. But here's the part most people miss about this. The problem isn't that you're spending too little. The problem is that below a certain threshold, marketing through impressions doesn't just work less, it doesn't work at all. In pharmacology, they call this the minimum effective dose. Below the minimum dose, you don't get a smaller effect, you get zero effect. No cure delivered. And most independent professionals are spending well below the minimum dose, which means every dollar they're spending on ads, on boosted posts, on pay-per-click is producing nothing. Here's why this matters to you. Whether you're a consultant, a coach, a financial advisor, or a speaker, you are in a version of this fight now. You may not be competing with Morgan & Morgan specifically, but you're competing with someone who has a bigger marketing budget than you. Maybe it's a national firm. Maybe it's a robo-advisor backed by venture capital. Maybe it's a competitor who just has deeper pockets. And the PE money that's entering professional services right now is going to accelerate this. If you're running your own practice, the math on impression-based marketing is about to get even worse. I want to tell you about someone who found out the hard way. I was at a conference recently with 80 personal injury attorneys, and I got into a conversation with a woman, I'll call her Jamie, who'd left a big law firm to start a small practice with her husband. She looked at what the big firms were doing, billboards, bus wraps, TV, radio. She thought, I'll do that too. Smaller scale, but the same playbook. She spent a lot of money. A bus wrap here, a few benches there, some local TV, and she got nothing. Here's the simplest way to think about this. Morgan & Morgan wins because everyone's seen John Morgan's face 1,000 times. You cannot afford 1,000 billboards, but you can be the person who wrote the book on how to solve their problem, and that works even better. Let that sit for a second, because it changes everything about how you should be spending your time and money right now. So what happened to Jamie? She and I got to talking at this conference, and she shared how much she'd spent on marketing in the last year. TV spots, radio buys, the bus wrap, the benches. Then she said something I hear more often than I should. I don't know what any of this got me. And that was the moment. She hadn't done anything wrong. Her ads were fine. Her message was fine. She was a good attorney. She just never reached the minimum dose. She was taking 1 milligram of a drug that requires 50 to produce any effect at all. There was no cure because there was never enough medicine. Now, I want to show you what the other path looks like. Here's what changed for one of my clients. I'll call him Steve, a lawyer who'd been, like Jamie, successful for years, but largely invisible outside his existing network. He published a book. That's it. That was the move. Within a short time, speaking invitations started coming in. Podcast hosts tracked him down, and referral partners who'd been friendly for years, the kind who'd grab lunch but never send business, suddenly started sending clients. Double digits of new clients a year. One person, when hiring him to speak, told him, I know a lot of attorneys in your specialty, but you're the only one who's written a book. His practice looked completely different. Same expertise, same market, different evidence. So what actually works? Here's what I've seen over and over. There's a study that came out recently from the Evolution of Publishing Institute. 86% of people prefer hiring a professional who has written a book over an identically qualified professional who hasn't. Same expertise, same credentials. The only difference is one of them published a book. And the ones with books, they charge 40 to 60% more for the same service. Separately, Edelman and LinkedIn surveyed nearly 3,500 decision makers and found that 73% say thought leadership content is a more trustworthy way to evaluate someone's capabilities than marketing material. Not ads, not brochures, not websites, your ideas. What this tells you is the market already knows. The market is already choosing authority over impressions. The buyers are telling you, Stop trying to impress me with how many times I've seen your face and start showing me you understand my problem better than anyone else. That's the game you can win. Not by outspending John Morgan, by building something uniquely yours, the evidence that you are the person who knows what you're talking about. The question most people have at this point is, okay, I get it, but how? How do I actually build that kind of authority in a way that's tangible? Something a client can hold in their hands and say, this is the person I need to talk to. Because that's really what we're talking about. An asset that does the selling before you're even in the room. Something that works whether you're there or not. And the people I've seen make this transition fastest all have one thing in common. They built that asset deliberately, not accidentally. That's exactly what I walk you through in the next video. It covers the specific process we use to extract what you already know and turn it into the authority asset that makes the impression game irrelevant. And it explains why we guarantee the ROI, because when this is built right, it doesn't just pay for itself, it changes who calls you and what they're willing to pay. The next video is the one you want. Watch it now.